Hello, my fellow Texans. This is Steve Pift of Progress in fucking Texas. Now we got a little election going on between Tallarico and Ken Paxton. But let me give you an idea how Ken Paxton partly did it as a state attorney. How suing Biden more than 100 times few Ken Paxton rise and reshaped Texas lives. 100% resources into stopping Biden's agenda. The record is his sword and shield as he went for U.S. Senate. Okay, Paxton frequently exploited the loophole in the structure of the Texas federal judiciary system to guarantee the case would be heard by a Trump-appointed judge. Because of the state's size and the unequal population, there's been 9 judicial divisions as one judge for parts of the Biden administration. Trump's appointed 7 of them. Yeah, so it's easy for Paxton to do judge shopping. On the lawsuit Paxton filed in Texas, 90% guaranteed to be heard by either a Trump-appointed judge or Wheeler County, a Bush appointee who has become a reliable civil arbitrator. There's nothing illegal about a lawyer seeking a favorable venue, but Steve Valdick, a Georgetown law professor and critic of this practice, originally Paxton turned a loophole into an art form during the Biden administration. If litigants like the Texas regularly able to obtain nationwide injunctions from judges whom they have handpicked to hear the complaint, it should go without saying that the public faith in the independence of the federal judiciary will be undermined. Valdick wrote in the 2022 amicus brief. County ruled that the Maine and Mexico will be restored as the Department of Homeland Security has failed to consider several of the main benefits of the policy. The 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeal agreed with Judge Andrew Ullman, who previously worked as Texas Deputy U.S. Solicitor General, writing that the Biden administration was trying to supplement the rule with the rule of say-so. The case made the reason the Supreme Court ruled that Biden administration was within its rights to strike down the Maine and Mexico policy a year and a half after Council being prevented from doing so, and only after 7,000 migrants have been sent back to Mexico to await their hearings. After the High Court sent that case back to Casablanca for review on the other ground, he promptly restored the policy again. Paxton was jubilant, posting on social media the Biden administration has played games all the way to sorters, but this open border agenda won't survive my illegal attacks. Most still guards are represented asylum seekers who has raided the here's Mexico. Having seen on the Whom Told on the policy, he said it was unconscionable to push so hard to ensure to continue. Ken Paxton didn't have to look into the eye of the woman who gave birth to an tent, said Garza, a Democrat nominee for Attorney General in 2022. Every time I talk about it, I see the face of the people I work with, and knowing someone like Ken Paxton is totally okay with adding the pain and suffering to people just seeking protection of our country is maddening. Texas has ran the same playbook of mirror immigration policy, asking Trump-appointed judges to grant national rights injunction to delay information to Biden supported over months or years of litigation. Grants over Biden's revocation of the Title 72 a coordinated order that made it easier to remove undocumented immigrants. The administration guidance on who to prioritize deportation. The program to grant temporary status to some migrants, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, and a program called Keeping Families Together would have allowed undocumented spouses to remain in the country while applying for school. The relentless drumbeat of litigation gave headlined on the issues that emerged as a Republican moral political cudgel. The Attorney General gave speech from steps of the Supreme Court, went on Fox News, and went on press release after press release, presenting himself the less refusals against Biden determinations against many illegal aliens. Because, yep, that's what it is. He did. He put abuse of August litigation from his type deputy. Signed this record is campaign ads and on the trail. One of the primary beat Gaza by 10 points in November. Evidence Hillary said the voters don't care about his alleged indiscretions. He care about what he's done for office and what the officers produced. He said he can agree with the policy participants, but he squeezed all the juices out of that office. Culture when Governor Greg Abbott was Attorney General during the Obama administration. I go into the office, I sue the federal government, and then I go home. During the Biden administration, it was more the same, although tax lawyers often skip the trip home. Often get the call that would say, hey, we need this one to be filed with this one in less than 24 hours and get whatever resources needed and make it happen. Hillary called, we worked all night and get something together. Paxton threw more resources into the agency's political work as the agency's other bureaucrats obligations fell by the wayside. Those leading the charge against Biden, a playbook to speed things along by finding minimal viable lawsuits, which it can later refine as form Paxton and a reset on the podcast in 2021. Transaction by office during the Biden administration, Brad Pitt, the group executive order said that being the Attorney General's size so long after that left trans people exhausted and terrified, and prompted dozens of their families to leave the state. Even Paxton loose to press releases. Competing rules create confusion and fear of what is still legal. He manipulated the AG's office and diverted taxpayers' resources dollars into these cases. These cases don't benefit Texas. They're designed to harm people who are transgender. Paxton ran the same play with the Biden administration attempt to shore up reproductive rights on the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and allowed the state of Texas to ban nearly all abortions. By guidance behind the emergency room by the obligation on federal law to perform life-saving abortion, telling pharmacists they could not discriminate and find progressive medications they could also use to reduce abortion. Sued over both policy and accused Biden of trying to turn every emergency room into a walk-in abortion clinic and meet at every pharmacy in America. Federal justice blocked both banks. Nation override, yeah. Yeah, that's little Popeye Paxton. Wasting your money as a Texas Attorney General. Doesn't seem to do much, and now you want to be senator. They probably want to rubber stamp whatever Daddy Trump wants. This morning, December 2022, the Biden infrastructure rating to swamping Marshall in the Clean Water Act. For 5 decades, the pedestrian administrative business states have so fought for what land should be protected from losing by this landmark environmental legislation. When the Biden administration tried to find a middle ground between Obama's more stringent protections and Trump's narrow interpretation, Texas took a stand. No, Paxton took a stand. It's time to start suing Texas. Railroad Commissioner Chris Craddock said during an agency meeting, I think the AG is going to have a good time with this. Finding a campaign on a best environmental agenda to cut greenhouse pollution, increase renewable energy, and economists many of the policies saw as a gaffe. Country away from oil and gas, and these plans set patterns to test gas and oil, which empty almost 500,000 people paid. 27 million in the state and local taxes, according to the industry. Texas oversees ratified Abbott director of state agencies to use lawful powers and tools in towns anti-federal actions in Texas. Fire more than 2,000 lawsuits in the city alone. One of Biden's day one directive was fully enforced Boston to Clayton County. A 2020 Supreme Court decided that to sell workplace discrimination based sexual orientation, gender identity, citing a similar rule. Biden issued guidance to ensure that employees and the students would be allowed to use the bathroom, change the facility and pronouns, and name the line with the gender identity. To block these policies, we returned to cosmetic courtroom before joining the band's cosmetic work order. Religious Liberty Law Firm wrote frequently on the threat of the America would continue to believe what marriage and sexual relations are reserved to the union one man, one woman. He's arguing 2015 essay. He filed it back with a 2021 lawsuit over Biden's administration attempting to find how workplace must show they are not discriminating against LGBT employees with Paxton uses. So Texas was being forced to put status as executive general or privacy employees. Okay. The West State with the economy identity that tore up oil and gas, defend the industry of so Paxton West. His lungs have been funded by two of the state's wealthiest oil and gas banks, Tim Durham and Ferris Wilks, and had generated wide swathes of support from the conservative leading industry. He has hammered his opponents, State Representative James Cherwick, on these saying the Austin Democrat attacks the industry he loved here and the oil and gas industry, and the industry that provide energy and provide jobs in Texas. Place rail with voters in general, but not because of the dominance of the oil and natural gas, but because political makeup of our state. He's a fighter, and people like not to say he's a fighter, and people like that. Which he's always been fighting against federal regulatory, and it's cleared obviously he has a affinity for oil and gas. Many of the lawsuits struck the heart of Biden's administration, like the when Louisiana team up to block executive action policy, new liquefied natural gas export permits, and oil and gas leases on public land and offshore water. For environmental purposes, often serves as a frustrating blocker. In 2024, the Biden administration added a dune stagger legislation to the endangered species list, and after use of advocacy teams of the environment group like Center of Environment Laws to this 2% of lives live inclusive in the West Texas, where oil and gas producers have been exclusive on its territory groups. Paxton sues saying the U.S. official license does not rely on best scientific and commercial data available in June. This is called destruction, a backdoor attempt to undermine tax and gas industry. The lawsuit pauses the works of protecting the legal environment, and after Trump the Department of Interior rescinded the legal and and it's still a lawsuit. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll have to check it out. I'm going to lose them, but I'll get back to it later on.